it was a regrettable decision on his part. I liked Jackie and still, think kindly of Jackie. I have no idea how Jackie thinks of me. I haven't talked to him. I was the one handling that negotiation. And, as I had in the past, and he had, we had tough negotiations prior to that. If I remember correctly, where he had walked for a little bit, and and Howard always wanted him back. But in this one in particular, I had made sure that, Howard and I had conversations about it. He knew exactly what I was doing. I had talked to my boss, who was Mel, and said, this is, and made sure that I had all the money in line, and, had approvals for the money that I was offering him and all those kinds of things. So, we had a final meeting. I put what was a very generous offer, what I believe was a very generous offer to Jackie on the table, guaranteed employment. I won't go into the specifics of it. But it was it should have been a life changer, for him, given where he was and had been. And I actually remember some of my words in the meeting. And I looked at him and said, Jackie, I should be the guy trying to, to downplay you, to not take this offer, because it's a lot, I'm putting a lot on the table. But, Jackie had encouraged me when I came back from cancer to kind of go on, when we started going on the road trips to Vegas, to make sure that I came, and, said, why wouldn't you take it? Why not come? And, so I appreciated that. And I appreciated, the sense that I had of Jackie's caring about me at that point. And I tried to express that to him in this final meeting that we had. I even said, I'm trying to remember the guy's name from MASH, who left. And I used him as an analogy. The old TV show MASH, one of the main characters, left the show. And I said, don't be that guy. Stevenson, I think, was his last name.
Yeah, it was Hawkeye and Jamie Farr, the only two people, like Radar, the two people.
Yeah, but I think it was the first colonel, who was the boss of the MASH unit. And I said, don't be that guy. This is a serious offer. It's a lot of money, and we'd like you to stay. Obviously, I wouldn't put this on the table if we don't want you to stay. And he decided at that point that it wasn't good enough for him. And everybody, as I said, Howard knew, and the other principals that needed to know knew. And when he tried to come back after rejecting the proposal, it was decided. It wasn't my decision. It wasn't my end of the day decision. But it was decided that, no, time to move on. And I've always felt bad about that. If somehow this is reaching you, Jackie, I hope you understand that. I really did. I really did want you to take that. I really did want you to be part of it. But it was decided, it was enough, because what was going to happen the next time we went around.
I might work.
I wish I'd been able to encourage him with found the right words to make that offer stick with him to where he would have taken it.
I might work to get you two together. Maybe here on a nice Zoom call at the end of the year we can. Couple more. So Artie Lange comes in and changes the dynamic of the show, but for the better. I always say there's two great eras. For me, it's Jackie, then the Artie era. Artie, Howard leaves his microphone on. He didn't really it didn't seem like any issues with you during the show at K-Rock. It seemed like he was pretty much clean and feeling good, even though maybe he wasn't clean, but he was doing his job coming in. But
unfortunately, I don't think, I think in retrospect, he wasn't, obviously. But in terms of dealing with him, he was I tried to communicate with Artie. I liked Artie a lot. Tried to communicate with Artie, in some of his troubled times and failed, but Artie was a great guy. Or is a great guy, The only thing I don't like about Artie is a big Yankee fan. I'm a Met fan. But other than that, I can't think of anything we really disagreed on. he was funny. He was quick. He was a big fan. When he first came on, it was at one level. Then after he proved himself a success there, his agent and I had a fairly easy negotiation over, on moving him up. I but I always remember being in Vegas one year for those shows, and Artie was so smashed while we're doing these shows that I was actually sitting hiding on the side of the stage with my fingers through the back of his belt loop, so that he was sitting next to Fred, who had the control board. Howard obviously always and still runs his own board, I think. And that every time Artie tried to get up, I would pull on his belt loop to not let him get up, so he couldn't tip over and probably fall into into Fred's stuff. But yeah, Artie was great on the show. He added a different dynamic. Obviously, he wasn't writing like Jackie was writing, but he was adding because he was a very spontaneous, funny guy who had a lot of great stories that just added to the show.
Yeah, and I mean, you weren't there, and it was a different time. But how do you think you would have handled how his ending happened?
I don't know. I can't second guess anybody on that. It was, we are who we are. We do what we do to ourselves, and at the end of the day, we have to be responsible for that, and to ourselves. So I'm sure the guys at the management team at Sirius, I'm sure they did everything they could to keep that situation viable.
And no contact with him lately? I know he's kind of coming back out of...
No. I'd be happy to, but I tried, and maybe he doesn't even know that I tried. I don't know. And maybe this message gets to him, and we could argue about who's better, the Mets or the Yankees, now that we've got a viable owner of the Mets in New York. We're excited.
Yeah, here's another. So we'll get that one. See, Tom, it's gonna be Brad, Tom, and guest as our new podcast. Well, welcome, congratulations, Tom. Couple more minutes. So when Howard mentions that he's going to Sirius, it's on the air. Tell me about that day and just not knowing, because I think what I remember, Robin didn't even know. I mean, he kept this completely.
No. I mean, as far as I knew, I certainly didn't know. Nobody knew, and and it was. There was a panic moment, not a panic moment, but it certainly was a stress moment. And then that actually in some ways became, almost, it was kind of more difficult to deal with, than just being the editor of the show. Because now I wasn't the editor of the show anymore. There was Dead Air Dave was on the button at that point because Andre had left, and but it created a whole new, what can he do? What can he say? He figured it out. He figured out how to, how to make it work. And I think we figured out how to, and I say we, I figured out how to kind of hold it together for whatever that period. But how could he not go?
Could you have gone, and would you?
How could he have not left?
Yeah, but could you have gone? Did you ever think about going? Was that ever a thought in your mind to continue on and maybe follow him there? Is that something you could have done?
I don't know. You'd have to. I don't know. Did I think about it? Listen, I love the show. I literally, I truly, I love Howard. There are a few people, that I respect more than him. The family, Mel Karmazin and he, in terms of professionalism, I can't think of any two more professional people that, that people should aspire to try and be like. Professional, hardworking. Hopefully I was some of that. And I didn't. I'm not going to. Could I? Would I? I don't know. It didn't. I wasn't. Didn't go there. I was quite happy to leave when I left CBS. maybe I would have been smarter to try and find another job at that point. I decided not to. And,
Well, it just felt like you guys were intertwined together. That you might, I felt like
20 years. I don't know if he makes 20 years, I'll be jealous because I wanted to be the only manager who worked with him for that length of time. But the good news is that he's had different people. Although I guess there's the one guy whose name is going to escape me at the moment. Has been there the entire time and was influential in bringing Howard over. And but when it came to radio manager, I was hoping that I was going to be able to say, well, I worked with him for 20 and nobody did it longer. And I think he's getting ready to. He's coming at the end of 15 now on Sirius, and I'm waiting, like I think everybody else is waiting to hear the new announcement, unless it's been made and I just missed it. And to see if he continues. If he does, I hope it's for 3 more years and not for 5. So I can still say I did it for 20.
Yeah, and our conversation we had before this, just on the phone, you don't have any bitterness at all. I mean, you guys, it's really nice to hear. How much contact do you have with Howard? I mean, you've talked to him. You talk about him glowingly, and you said that you guys still kind of have. How often do you get a chance to maybe email him, text him, or any of that stuff?
I'm a semi-regular. I try not to bug him. When I got out of I was getting out of the car on Saturday morning, and I had listened to the Sunday morning. Now I forget. So long ago. It was 24 or 48 hours ago. I forget whether it was Saturday or Sunday. The days run together. I sent him a little email. So I just listened to that interview. It was great. Thank you for making my ride up. Very pleasant and going. And full of listening to 2 giants at what they do. Do it. And so, as I said, yeah, I'm a fan. I consider him a friend. I think he considers me the same, but I can't answer for that part. I can only answer for my part.
Do you have any favorite moments that come up when people ask you, what's your favorite moments of being on the show? Of course, beating up your suit, losing in golf to Stuttering John.
By the way, that's certainly not one of my favorite moments. Breaking my hand, punching a suit after a frustrating night of cards, and then having to play it on the air. It was fine, and I wasn't. I didn't think about it. I didn't even intend to tell him that I had done it. The person I felt worse for was my poor wife, who came in after I had punched the door, and she, or the suit, and then the door, and saw me and saw that, and just said, "Not now, honey." My long-suffering wife that I put her through that. Listen.
Is there like a moment on the show where you're like, well, that was fun?
For the most part, it's, it was 20 years of a wonderful time, stressful at times, professionally very active. Being part of that and being associated with the show got me out of some speeding tickets. He created, like he does for everybody or a lot of people, he made me a minor personality and, in a bigger world. And that was fun, and it still happens. I still, why would you want to talk to me 20 years later? Because some of that still resonates. And I like that, as I said, I'm a big enough ham, that I didn't shy away from that, when I was doing it professionally. There's some benefits to it, and still, and there's people who still say, "Are you?" And I go, "Yeah, yeah, that's me." And I don't hide from it. I'm proud of it.
Well, you're handsome at 74, I got to say. You still got it.
73. Don't age me prematurely, okay?
My mom's 74.
Right.
A lot of golf. What are you shooting these days? I'm not really good at handicaps, but are you in the 70s or are you still in the 80s? What are you shooting these days?
Oh, no. You know what? If this comes across as boastful, then I apologize for it. But I'm better than probably... year-olds out there. I shoot my age on a semi-regular basis and beat it. I'm actually almost better now than I've ever been. And I'm always competitive, you know. I'm a competitive pain in the ass, but and you can tell the people who play golf with me will tell you that. So yeah, I try and take care of myself, you know. Like I said, I'm going to the gym when you and I hang up, and I play a lot. I'm not embarrassed by it. I like doing it, and I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah, I'd like to get into the 90s myself, but we may be neighbors one day. In the winter,
I want to get in the 90s too, but that means I want to live to be 90 so I can shoot 90.
Well, and when Stuttering John beat you on that one hole, that has to still resonate, right?
That was probably the low point. That was the low point.
But you could tell the anger. You could tell the anger was there for real.
Oh, I was pissed. You know, I mean, but you know, it happened. It was, you know, it became part of the legend of the show, I guess. Not the, you know, I mean, not the legend of the show, but it just became, you know, one of those things that was part of the show that added to it. And so, but no, that was probably the low point of my golf career. The low point of my professional career was losing at golf to Stuttering John that night.
But then you could just have a nice, fun contract negotiation where you don't offer him anything, right? And that made him mad, and you kick him out of the.
Yeah. I mean, I think John's doing well. I hope he is. You know, I know he's got a nice family, and I hope he's doing well. But I don't know where he is now.
Well, I hope that at 73 and a half, I get to